Good afternoon, and we are back at Botanica here in Wichita, Kansas, and today we are going to learn about the moon phases. I'm going to go ahead and send it on over to Clint. Clint, take it over.
Hey, hi kids. It's your buddy Clint. We are back out here live at Botanica. I absolutely love it out here. I am in Santa's sleigh right now, and we got a great 30 minutes coming up for you. My good friend Amy Cabrales here at Botanica is going to be taking us through the moon phases. So buckle up, and we're going to put it over to Amy.
Okay, well, welcome to Botanica's Moon Phases virtual field trip. Thanks for the introduction, Clint. Have you guys ever looked up into the sky and wondered why the moon was changing its shape? Well, let's find out why that happens in today's virtual lesson. First, I'm going to give you a true or false question. So if you are listening, you can enter 1 for true or 2 for false in the chat, and then they'll share that with me and let me know what you guys are saying. So, true or false? The sun and the moon are the same size. If you think the statement's true, enter a 1. If you think it's false, enter a 2.
Hey, we also love doing shout outs throughout this. So if you would take a minute and put what school you're at and maybe what grade your students are, so we can do some shout outs later in the program.
Well, if you said false or you entered number 2, you are correct. The sun and the moon are not the same size. So today in this virtual field trip, I would hope that you're going to learn that the moon is smaller than the sun, but it appears the same size from Earth. The moon's phases are caused by its orbit around the Earth. The moon does not make its own light, it only reflects it. And the moon phases repeat in a cycle about every 28 days. Here's your next question to think about, true or false. The sun, the Earth, and the moon are connected in a system. 1 for true, 2 for false. If you said true, number 1, you are correct. To understand the moon phases, we need to know about the Earth, moon, and sun system. A system are a set of things that are connected. We know the sun is much bigger than the moon, and we know that the moon appears the same size because the moon is much closer to Earth than the sun is. Even though the sun and the moon appear the same size, the sun is actually 400 times larger than the moon. That's a huge difference. Do you see that little tiny dot? That's the real size of Earth's moon compared to the sun. Here's your next true or false question. The moon makes its own light. The moon makes its own light. 1 for true, 2 for false. If you said false or number 2, then you'd be correct. The moon doesn't make its own light. But why do we see so many different shapes when we look up at the moon? We call these different shapes the phases of the moon. To understand the phases of the moon, first, you need to know that the moon does not make its own light. It only reflects sunlight. Let's make a model to help us better understand what's happening during the phases of the moon. For this model, you're going to need a styrofoam ball and a pencil, a lamp, and a dark room. The darker the room, the better. This is a simple activity that will help you understand why the moon looks different at different times throughout the month. Why sometimes it looks like a banana, and other times it looks like a half circle, and other times it looks like a big round ball. In this model, The lamp will represent the sun, the foam ball will represent the moon, and your head, or my head in this case, will represent the earth. This is where she should hit play.
I'm going to reshare this because I forgot to do it with sound. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Give me
okay.
just a minute here.
No worries.
While you do that, we're going to go ahead and shout out to Miss Hartwick's class. Looks like out of Junction City, Kansas.
Wow.
Glad
Hi, Junction City.
Here. We also have Miss Marks, second graders here. So we are really glad y'all are here with us today.
Hi, Miss Marks's class.
We know that the moon orbits the Earth. So in this model, I'm going to get the moon to orbit the Earth, which is my head. Notice that no matter where the moon is in its orbit, half of it is always lit up by the sun. But when the moon is in this position, I can't see any of the lighted side from Earth, my head. From this position, you can see what I'm seeing from Earth. We call this new moon. When it's new moon, we look up into the sky and we can't see the moon. It's there, but the side that is reflecting sunlight is away from us. As I slowly make the moon orbit to my left, I can begin to see a tiny sliver of the light side. We call this crescent moon. As the moon continues to orbit the Earth, we can see more and more of the lighted side. We see half of the lighted half, which is called a quarter moon. In this case, a first quarter moon. As we keep orbiting, we see almost the whole lighted side. We call this the gibbous moon. Then, when we can see the entire lighted half of the moon, that's a full moon. As the moon continues to orbit,
I have a film. Okay. It's a great model to understand the phases of the moon and how they're happening. So, true or false, the moon is always the same shape. 1 for true, 2 for false. This one's kind of tricky, but if you said true, you're correct. So why does the moon appear in different shapes throughout the month then? Because of its orbit. The shape or phase of the moon depends on where it is in the orbit around the Earth. It takes about a month for the moon to orbit the Earth. If you look up to the sky tonight, know that in about a month, you will see you will look into the night sky and you'll see the same shape again. Okay, so that is our moon phases. Let's review. Today you should have learned that the moon is smaller than the sun, but it appears the same size because it's closer to the Earth than the sun is. The moon's phases are caused by its orbit around the Earth, and in our model, the Earth was our head. Also, the moon does not make its own light. It only reflects light. And finally, the phases of the moon repeat in a cycle about every 28 days. And there you have it. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to look up at the moon tonight.
So a couple questions coming in. Is the moon that we see, is that the only moon that's out there?
Oh my gosh, no. It's the only moon that in Earth's orbit. But many other planets have many other moons. And in my research, and I can't remember exactly, but I did learn that some of the moons they are finding have signs that life could be sustained there.
And another question is, so with Earth we have one moon. Can other planets, can they have more than just one moon?
Many planets do have more than one moon, and especially the outer planets that we call, they're much, much bigger in size than the inner planets. I know that they have several moons. I think one, and I can't think if it was Jupiter or Saturn, but I believe they have like 7 moons.
Wow. Well, what we were hoping to do was show the kids around a little bit. So kids, we're going to take a little 5 to 10 minute tour here and show you around a little bit, show you some of the cool stuff going on out here at Botanica, and then we'll wrap up after that. So if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. We'll be watching those, and if not, we're just going to take you on a little short tour here. Here we go.
So I think we should have gone that way, maybe that way. So we've got all of our snowflakes over here, and where you're standing, Clint, is where the singers will be for tonight's illuminations.
So here's a question coming in. Why does Earth have to orbit around the sun?
Technically, the Earth revolves around the sun, so why does it have to? Well, that is how we get our seasons. So as we orbit around the sun, our seasons change. We're also rotating as we orbit around the sun, and that gives us our day and our night.
Nice. I saw some stuff over here that looked like Christmas.
Oh my gosh, I love these big oversized light bulbs over here.
There's lights everywhere out here. I wish you could see it at night.
So we have, oh, I can't remember how many they said for luminaries, but there is thousands and thousands of luminaries out here. And these are our big oversized Christmas lights, which I think are super fun with a huge plug. As we walk this way, we are actually walking backwards to the flow for illuminations, but this is one of my favorite trees in the whole place. It won't be nearly as cool as when it's lit up, but still a massive tree right here in the middle of our city. And if you've seen illuminations advertised, especially nationally, which they have been, this is the tree that they most use in those advertisements because it's so fun.
So why don't we play What Can You Find in the Tree? There's all sorts of stuff up in this tree.
Okay, here's my first one. You ready? Can you find, and it was just added this year, can you find the fish in the tree?
Can you find the fish?
Can you find the fish? It's not small.
Do you see a fish? There it is.
Kind of out of place, but yes, it's fun in this tree. And when this tree's all lit up, it's amazing. Okay, Clint, what are you going to have them look for?
Next up, something we're real used to seeing in trees. Can you find a bicycle?
Bicycles are always in trees, aren't
Find a
they?
bicycle in the tree. Over here, we got some tickets to the North Pole. And all this is lit up at night. You can see there's lights everywhere you go and these luminaries all around.
And if you can see that building right up there, if you come at night, Santa Claus will be in that building so you guys can meet Santa Claus or drop off letters to Santa.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, we really are glad you joined us today, and we appreciate you taking some time with us to learn about the phases of the moon.
If anybody has any questions, they can always email me here at Botanica. It's acabrales@botanica.org. I'd love to hear any questions you guys might have or any observations. And I hope to see you tonight at Illuminations or sometime. And if you do come during the day, give me a shout. I would love to say hello to you if you come out to Botanica. Thanks so much for joining us.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Have a great
Christmas.
rest of your day and week. And we'll see you at a virtual field trip here in the near future.
Happy New Year.
Bye, everyone.